Hello dear friends. Two Diep and Nhi are biological mother and daughter. They live together. Have many similarities. So where is the baby's father? Is it Jame? Today let's follow this story together. After a long absence, Two Diep finally returned. Her gentle voice as soft and warm as ever. Life had become more peaceful for her. Yet behind her calm smile lay a long and difficult journey. On a quiet afternoon, she was in the garden with her little daughter, Nhi, picking ripe persimmons. Nhi's cheerful laughter echoed through the trees, filling the air with the innocent joy only a child can bring. As they picked the colorful fruit together, playing guessing games about each one's color, the bond between mother and daughter became beautifully clear, a simple yet powerful image of love and resilience. James, a foreign man and the current CEO of a major company, had entered their lives like a quiet miracle. He wasn't Nhi's biological father, but he had slowly become a central part of their world. Two Diep was a woman who had once been married, abandoned by her husband, and left to raise her child alone. She returned to her hometown to rebuild her life from scratch. It was during this time of solitude and hardship that James appeared, first as a helping hand, then as a friend, and eventually, as something much more. Over the next 6 months, their relationship grew steadily. With every conversation, every visit, and every quiet moment shared, James fell deeper in love with the strength, tenderness, and quiet determination that Two Diep carried within her. For Two Diep, James wasn't just another man, he was someone who saw her not as a burden, but as a woman worth loving. Despite her past, as Vietnam's National Day, September 2nd, approached, James proposed a camping trip for just the three of them, Two Diep, little Nhi, and himself. He invited his mother as well, hoping she could join, but she had to stay behind due to work. Before setting off, James sat down with his mother to share something deeply personal, his intention to propose to Two Diep. His mother listened with a mix of hope and concern. She knew James loved Two Diep, but she also understood how his father, a man of traditional values, might react. Two Diep had once been married, and Nhi was not James's daughter. It was a difficult path to walk, but James was firm in his decision. He explained that he didn't just love Two Diep, he loved Nhi as if she were his own. More than that, he wanted to help Two Diep legally adopt Nhi, to ensure the child would be safe, cared for, and officially part of their future family. With everything prepared, the three of them set off on their camping trip. The peaceful forest setting, the golden light filtering through the trees, and the fresh mountain air all added to the feeling that this wasn't just a getaway, it was the beginning of something new. James took care of everything, pitching the tent, gathering firewood, preparing a simple meal. He cooked instant noodles, helped Nhi eat, kept her warm, and made sure she felt loved every second of the way. As night fell and stars scattered across the dark sky, Nhi drifted off to sleep in the tent. Only James and Two Diep remained by the campfire, the soft glow lighting their faces. It was then that James turned to her and asked gently, "Do you remember how long we've known each other?" 6 months. She replied with a small smile. 6 months isn't a long time, he continued, but it's been enough for me to know how I feel about you. Do you think I could be the man you'd want to marry? Two Diep froze for a moment. Her heart trembled. She had been hurt before, left behind with a child and no answers. But looking at James, this man who had not only accepted her but loved her and her daughter unconditionally, she felt something she hadn't felt in years, safety and hope. James reached for her hand, his voice slow but steady. He told her that she was the first woman to ever truly move his heart. He admired her strength, her beauty, her kindness, and her endless patience with life's hardships. She had fought through so much and still chose to love and care for others. To him, she wasn't just good, she was extraordinary, and he wanted to spend his life with her. Two Diep's eyes filled with tears. She had never expected this moment. Never imagined it could be hers. And yet, here it was, raw, real, and beautiful. She nodded, unable to speak at first. Then finally whispered, yes. That night, beneath the starry sky and the gentle crackle of the fire, a new chapter began. Not just for Diep and James, but for little Nhi, too. A family was being formed, not by blood, but by choice, by love, and by a deep, unwavering commitment to one another. There were still obstacles ahead. James's father might disapprove. Society might whisper. And the legal process of adoption might take time. But none of that mattered in this moment. What mattered was that they were together. 3 people, brought together by fate. Writing a story of love, healing, and new beginnings, far away from the past. And closer than ever to the future they had longed for.